Morning. Something in this hour must be discerned between the lines. The physical ear can never hear truth any more than the physical tongue can utter truth. If you rely on these ears, you will miss it. If you look for the shape of truth in the words and the sentences, you will miss it. Now, let the ear be present, yes. Let the words go by, yes. But let the listening be done by that which is not made of bone and nerve. The prayer that works is not spoken, and it is not heard in sound. It is recognized. It is realized. It is the presence that arrives when the noise of us subsides. Now then, hear this with what is inside the rib cage, but not the heart, inside the skull, but not the brain. My kingdom is not of this world, not even an improved this world, not even a polished, morally tidy, socially efficient version of this world. My kingdom is other. It is present, but not present to the senses. It is here, but not here to the bargaining mind. And therefore prayer cannot be an attempt to repair this world with spiritual means. That is why so much of what passes for prayer exhausts you and changes little. You try to move the furniture in a dream, and you are surprised to wake up with the same room. If you can only hear prayer with the ear, you will miss the prayer that works, because the prayer that works is not a plea projected outward. It is a recognition rising inward. It is not a request sent to a deity stationed somewhere beyond the sky of your skull. It is the unmasking of the one that is already the life of you. Now, I am going to lay before you the riddle that will govern our hours together, and for some it will cut, and for some it will heal, and for some it will do both in the same breath. The very I that prays is often the obstruction to answered prayer. The personal I, the self that begs, the self that calculates, the self that measures deserts and demands and timetables. This self is the wall, and it will never hear the kingdom through the ear. We are not gathered to become better beggars. We are not here to perfect the art of persuading God. Nobody in this room is going to leave with a more efficient method of convincing heaven to adjust earth to your preferences. That path is finished. It never was a path. Now then, what are we gathered to do? To learn the inner transition where prayer is no longer petition, but communion. No longer a voice going out, but a presence welling up. No longer a timeline of when, but an entrance into now. Do you feel the pressure of that word? Now, not the mechanical tick of a clock, but the living immediacy in which being is. I am. Not I was, not I will be. Those are shadows cast by mind. The prayer that works begins where the personal I dissolves, and in that split second of silence, when thought stops and the ear has nothing left to grasp, the truth rushes in. Not an idea of truth, not a statement of truth, not even a remembered truth. Truth itself. Spirit itself. And then, as Scripture whispers for those with ears that are not ears, the earth melts. There will be discomfort as we dismantle what you have called prayer. Good. Let there be discomfort. Let it drive you inward, not outward. Nobody cares how cleverly you can describe your need. There is no prize for eloquent petition. There is only this, a willingness to let the bargaining self grow quiet enough that the kingdom already within may bear witness to itself. My kingdom is not of this world. Therefore, your remedy will not be wrought by the logic of this world. It will not be added to you in time. It will be revealed as presence. So listen differently now. Let the ear be servant, not master. Let the mind be still, not supervisor. We are entering a sanctuary without architecture, a silence without boredom, a hearing that has no sound. In that sanctuary, prayer is not something you do. Prayer is what remains when the doer is gone. Now then, let us look straight at the one who prays. When you close the eyes and say, Father, who is moving the lips? When you set a problem before the throne, whose problem is it? The common assumption in the human scene is this: a personal someone in a personal trouble addresses a distant deity to intervene and arrange a better human outcome. That is the model, that is the picture, and that picture is the obstruction. Not the words, not the subject matter. Who is asking? This personal sense of I that hurries to the altar, what is it made of? It is a little manager, a planner, a calculator. It lives by memory and forecast. It lives yesterday's injury and tomorrow's insurance. It measures wages and weighs chances. It says, I must make my demonstration, and if possible, God will assist. Hear the hidden confession in that? I must make. In other words, without saying it in so many syllables. I am independent. I have a project. I would like some divine subsidy, and then wonder why the heavens seem brass and the answers thin. The very premise is separation. The very tone is exile, and separation cannot inherit the kingdom. Now, the I that fears is the I that believes itself in charge. When fear is in you, it is a prayer, it is a liturgy. It is saying all through the bloodstream, I am counting on my wits, I am counting on my methods, I am going to get this outcome, and God, please approve the plan. That is not prayer. That is self-reliance with a religious fragrance. It is law trying to borrow the language of grace. Do not be offended. Be relieved to hear it, because as long as that I remains the petitioner, every word you utter is the reinforcement of exile. You are praying to the God in your own belief, and your belief is divided, weary, timed. My kingdom is not of this world, not even an improved this world. So the God you address as a fixer in time, a manager of events, is an idol shaped by yesterday's hurts and tomorrow's hopes. Nobody can pray effectively from that standpoint. Those that worship God must worship in spirit and in truth. Spirit is not a personality in the sky. Truth is not a perfected argument. Spirit is isness. Truth is what is before a thought about it. Prayer, then, cannot begin while the personal I retains jurisdiction. As long as the planner is present, as long as the demonstrator is designing outcomes, as long as the accountant of desserts is filing claims, the line is busy. There is no hearing in that room because there is nothing to hear but the echo of one's own anxiety. The physical ear can register 1,000 beautiful statements in that mood and never catch a whisper of reality. Why? Because the claim of separation is the prayer being offered. The words are decoration. The inner stance is the substance. You cannot hold the pose of exile and find the homeland in the same breath. Now then, take this down into the ribs. The problem is not what you ask for, it is who is asking. It is possible to ask for bread and get a stone if the asker is the orphaned I, because the orphan has already decided there is no father but a theory, no home but an address in time, no law but cause and effect. The orphan prays for tomorrow because it believes tomorrow holds its life. The orphan strategizes, improves technique, seeks better statements, another book, a new teacher, a special formula, and never notices that the seeker's mask is the very barrier. Up to a point, we are students, yes, we rehearse principles, yes, but there is a definite point where the rehearsal ends and the truth lives itself. That point is not reached by multiplying words under the government of the personal I. Do you see why fear is such an accurate barometer? When fear surges, it is the nervous system shouting, I am operating alone. When urgency grabs the throat, it is the calendar god demanding sacrifices. When you feel that terrible weight, what am I going to do? Understand that you have already stepped out of the kingdom and into the workshop of a fiction. In that shop, you will hammer and grind and plan and perspire. And sometimes it will look as if you achieved a result. But it will not be grace. It will be the law of averages. It will be the improved this world. and even a perfect this world is not my kingdom. Now, how do we know that personal I has the microphone? Watch for timelines. Watch for bargaining. Watch for explanation. The moment you begin to narrate why you deserve, how long you have waited, what you will do if, stop. Nobody cares about that drama, not because your pain is unimportant, but because the drama belongs to a character that does not enter the sanctuary. Do not explain to God. There is no God in that theater to be persuaded. Withdraw the actor. The stage will go dark, and in the split second after the curtain falls, a different light appears. That is later. For now, see the actor. Name it for what it is. The little manager trying to live in yesterday and tomorrow, trying to ensure the future with recitations from the past. That is the obstruction. You may say, but I must live, I must plan, I must provide. On the human level, yes, someone signs checks and keeps appointments. Remain in the world, but do not let that someone be the one who prays. The one who prays must be no one. The one who prays must be the I that is before personality, before memory, before plan. Call it I am if you like. It is not a title, it is being. When the prayerful stance is that, then even the human arrangements begin to take on another order. Supply and health reveal, not as trophies of a capable manager helped by a cooperative deity, but as the natural atmosphere of a life under grace. So turn within and ask before any word is shaped. Who is asking? If the answer arrives as a biography, wait. If it arrives as a timetable, wait. If it arrives as a contract, wait. Let the manager tire himself. Let the demonstrator fizzle. Let the personal I confess its limits without speech. Then you are near the threshold where prayer can begin. Not a prayer about things, not a prayer in time, but a prayer that is the cessation of that old claimant. The petitioning self dissolves. The kingdom that is not of this world stands revealed as what has always been. And only then does the prayer that works appear, not as a plea reaching upward, but as presence recognizing itself. Now then, if the one who asks has been unmasked, let us face where the asking has been sent. My kingdom is not of this world, not even an improved this world, not even a perfected, polished, morally bright, socially efficient version of this world. The human scene is a realm of causes and effects, bodies and weather, markets and wars, birth certificates and obituaries. It is a moving picture with its own laws of motion, its own tides, its own seasons. In that realm, rain falls on the just and the unjust. In that realm, economies rise and fall without consulting your prayers. In that realm, microbes, molecules, ballots, and bullets appear to play sovereign. If you look for God there as a fixing agency, as a superintendent called in when the boiler rattles, you will go on looking. There is no God in the human scene as a patch. None. Now, this is scandal to the religious mind that has learned to beg for improvements, to make offerings for weather, to promise vows for promotions, to plead for a better verdict in matters court. But hear me with the ear that is not flesh. God does not enter the dream to adjust the furniture. Spirit does not step into the timeline to take sides. When you ask for God to come down into your Tuesday, to repair a condition, you are not praying. You are demanding a spiritual violation of your own premises. You have declared the courtroom, evidence, witnesses, exhibits labeled A through Z as ultimate, and then you ask the judge of another jurisdiction to rule by your evidence. And the case goes unanswered, not because the judge is indifferent, but because the court is wrong. Spirit is not on that docket. The human record is not the law of God. Conventional prayer remains unanswered because it is trying to bring the infinite into the finite's courtroom and force a ruling according to human affidavits. Doctors' reports, bank balances, weather maps, text messages, forecasters, and futures. You lay the papers out. You rehearse the testimony. You call your expert witnesses. Then you say, "Now, Lord, look at the facts." Nobody in the kingdom is reading those pages, not because your hurt is nothing, but because the realm in which the hurt appears is not the realm in which God is known. Those that worship God must worship in spirit and in truth. Spirit does not sit as a magistrate over matter. Spirit is the life that, when realized, makes the matter picture irrelevant as law. The earth melts. The picture shifts, yes, but not because matter improved, because another jurisdiction was recognized. Now then, if you can bear this, you will come to relief instead of offense. My kingdom is not of this world. That means you are not tasked with improving the world picture to find peace. You are tasked with entering another basis while standing in the same place. Prayer is not the art of repairing forms. Prayer is the grace of relocating consciousness. You remain a mother, a banker, a nurse, a mechanic. You go on washing dishes, signing checks, tending patients. But within you, a crossing occurs. You are no longer a citizen trying to get better laws passed in matter. You are a witness to a kingdom that governs without cause and effect, as the world knows it. That kingdom is not a future heaven. It is not a reward deferred. It is presence. It is I am. It is realized, not built. Do you see how everything changes in that one admission? If God is not a fixer of scenes, then your explanations, your timelines, your arguments become silent. You stop praying in time. You stop arguing cases. You stop asking spirit to violate the calendar and the microscope. You turn, and in the turning, you are lifted. The scene may or may not alter at once. That is none of your business. Your business is the pivot. Your business is the split second in which the claimant drops and the I am is realized. In that instant, fear has no logic to stand on because its courtroom has been dismissed. In that instant, anxiety has no schedule because there is no tomorrow to hold your life. In that instant, even pain loses the hypnosis of inevitability because inevitability belongs to cause and effect, and you are not living there. Do not mistake me to mean that you abandon your duties or that you refuse medical attention or that you act foolishly in the marketplace. Remain in the world. Be orderly, be punctual, pay your bills, keep your word, but do not seek God there. Do not imagine that God endorses a transaction because you won it or condemns it because you lost it. Do not make a theology of weather because the sun came out, nor of illness because a symptom arose. The kingdom is not registered on a barometer. The kingdom is not ratified by a balance sheet. The kingdom is not contradicted by a diagnosis. The kingdom is a realm of being, and its signatures are peace that requires no circumstance, integrity that does not compute loss or gain, love that is without opposite and without negotiation. Now then, let me put it so plainly that the ear may stumble and the soul may hear. There is no spiritual power to be found in manipulating effects. None. There is no principle of God that you can affix to a human cause to guarantee a preferred result. There is only realization. There is only the entrance into not of this world, while feet are still on this floor. And when that entrance is granted, never by force, never by reasoning, always by that split second of quiet, the scene is no longer your master. It may change as a shadow changes when the sun breaks through. It may not for a while. But you are no longer attempting to live by shadow laws. You are no longer a petitioner pleading in a court that will not hear you. You are the temple in which the kingdom reveals itself, and out of that revelation, your way in the human scene becomes strangely simple, strangely protected, strangely provided. This is why we say the prayer that works begins when the personal I dissolves. The personal I is the citizen of this world, bound to causes and effects, yesterdays and tomorrows. The I am is the citizen of the kingdom. Prayer is the passport, but it is stamped only in silence. Seek no event called God entering time. Seek no sign that conforms to your ledger. Let the ledger be and step out of its jurisdiction for a moment. So brief the clock cannot find it. There the government is grace, and when you return to the desk, to the bed, to the market, you will find that life, without your management, has taken on another order. Not an improved this world, not even a perfect this world. A different realm recognized while standing here. That is prayer. That is the way. Now then, we have said the passport is stamped only in silence. A moment so brief the clock cannot find it. Let us face the tyrant that steals that moment, time. Yesterday and tomorrow. Do not hear this with the ear only. Let the inner one weigh it. Try now to live a minute from now. Close your eyes and go there. A minute from now. Where is it? You cannot breathe there. You cannot think there. You cannot love there. You cannot pray there. It is a perfect vacuum. You may populate it with pictures, but those are not living. They are projections across a blank. Now try to live a minute ago. Go there. Live in it. You cannot. That too is a vacuum. You can take souvenirs, the taste of coffee, the face of a friend. But the life is gone from it. It is a photograph, and the photograph cannot feed you. Now then, what does that leave? It leaves the only place where life is, now. Life cannot be lived a minute from now, and it cannot be relived a minute ago, and therefore the kingdom of God, which is a state of grace, cannot be experienced then or there either. The kingdom is not a future attainment, not a merit badge dated for delivery next Tuesday, not a memory you can call back with a better explanation. The kingdom is I am, not I was, not I will be. Whenever the rose blooms, it is now. Whenever the breath actually arrives, it is now. Whenever the truth rushes in, it is in a split second that has no before and no after. This is why so much that has worn the name prayer has failed you and tired you, because personal prayer has hidden itself in the tense of your verbs. Regret prays from yesterday. It tells its long story of what was done or left undone. It writes to heaven from an address that no longer exists. It says, if only, and tries to move the furniture of a house that has already been torn down. That is not prayer. That is worship at a grave. And anxiety prays from tomorrow. It brings blueprints and threats. It says, when this is solved, when that arrives, when I am healed, when I am hired. And it makes sacrifices to a calendar god that cannot hear. That is not prayer. That is prophecy written in sand and feared before it is born. Regret and anxiety are two choirs singing in empty rooms. They are liturgies performed in vacuums. Nobody is there to answer because nobody lives there. Now then, take this as operational law and not as poetry. The moment you deviate from now into memory or forecast, you have taken yourself out of the kingdom. In that deviation, you may repeat every correct sentence you have ever learned. You may quote scripture and principle until the tongue is dry. You may craft exquisite affirmations, and still there will be no life in it. Why? Because the physical ear can hear the beauty of those words, but the spirit cannot find you. You are praying at an address that spirit does not inhabit. Those that worship God must worship in spirit and in truth. Spirit is not yesterday or tomorrow. Truth is not a diary or a schedule. The minute you leave now, you step under law again, cause and effect, fear and defense, and you will feel the weight return to your chest. That feeling is your witness. You have vacated the kingdom. Do not make a superstition of this. Make it a simplification. Every time you catch yourself rehearsing the old injury, you have found a prayer to a corpse. Stop mid-sentence, let it fall. Every time you find yourself bargaining with a coming hour, you have discovered an altar to a God that never arrives. Step back, let the altar be empty. You ask, what then shall I do? Nothing. Not a new technique, not a new statement. Let a thought stop. even one. One split second of silence, no yesterday reaching, no tomorrow fearing, and the truth that is present rushes in. Not a truth about cause and effect, not a truth about probabilities, truth itself, presence itself. And the earth melts, the picture softens, the nerves unhook from the calendar, and you are back, not in the past, not in the future, but where life is. Understand, I am not promising you an improved tomorrow by practicing this today. That too is a trick of time. I am saying that the only access to grace is now. Grace is not reached later. It is recognized now. It is your refusal to worship at the shrines of then and there that constitutes the recognition. In that recognition, prayer is no longer a project. Prayer is presence being itself where you are. My kingdom is not of this world, not even an improved this world. Therefore, its entrance is not along the timeline of this world. It is vertical, if you like pictures, dropping down through the surface of seconds into the depth that has no second. You will ask, but what about responsibilities? What about learning from mistakes? What about planning with wisdom? Remain in the world. Make notes. Keep appointments. Apologize where apology is due. Inform your plans with prudence. But do not pray there. Do not seek God there. Do not believe that wisdom was in the storm of regret or in the fever of anxiety. Whatever genuine correction or guidance appears will appear now. It will not be extracted from yesterday by dissecting it, and it will not be delivered tomorrow by threatening it. Guidance is the nature of grace, and grace is only now. Supply is the nature of grace, and grace is only now. Health is the nature of grace, and grace is only now. Do you see the severity and the mercy of that? Severe to the mind that loves to manage, merciful to the soul that is tired of managing. So I give you a straight and narrow rule. The minute you notice yourself narrating what was, stop. The minute you notice yourself forecasting what will be, stop. Not because memory and plan are evil, but because you cannot live them. You cannot worship God in them. You cannot make the prayer that works from them. Return to now without a word if possible. If a word must come, let it be I am, not as a charm but as a pointer to the only place you can meet what is. In that instant of meeting, a gentleness arrives that needs no argument. You relax. You are not in charge of yesterday anymore, and you are not responsible for tomorrow yet. You are where grace governs. You are where fear has no premise. You are in a kingdom that is present, whole, and sufficient. Not later, not earlier, but now. Nobody can do this return for you, not the room, not the teacher, not the book. It is always immediate and solitary, and it is always available. 1,000 times a day, you may forget and remember. Forget and remember. The number does not count because counting belongs to time. What counts is that in each remembrance there is the living God, unhoused by memory, unthreatened by forecast, discovered in the only instant where discovery is possible. And from that instant your feet still stand in this world, but your life is not of it. Now then, let us say it without decoration so the soul may hear it and not the ear. The obstruction in prayer is the one who prays as a someone for something from somewhere in time. The I that approaches the throne to get, to fix, to heal, to change. This is the same I that insists on a history, a forecast, a separate life with separate needs. It is the same I that manufactures the very sense of lack that it brings in its hands. As long as that I remains the doer of prayer, it remains the doer of separation, and separation cannot inherit the kingdom. We have seen how yesterday and tomorrow are vacuums. Now see how the personal I lives only there. Its stories are yesterday. Its strategies are tomorrow. Its fear is a schedule. Its hope is a plan. It cannot stand nakedly in now, because now has no furniture to lean upon, no mirrors to admire, no records to recite. Now is presence without biography. Now is I am. The personal I, lacking roots in that soil, runs about digging holes for itself and calls those holes prayer. It rehearses grievances, it negotiates outcomes, it bargains with heaven as if heaven kept ledgers in hours and dollars. And then it cries, "Why is there no answer?" There is no answer because there is no one there to answer. The praying I built a separate chamber and asked the sun to shine only inside it. The sun does not enter chambers, the walls must dissolve. Now, see the paradox. The more intensely the personal I prays for change, the more firmly it establishes the premise that something real stands outside of God and must be managed. I must get health, therefore I am the possessor of a condition apart from grace. I must secure supply, therefore I am the possessor of a life apart from the government of spirit. Do you see? As long as I am the petitioner, I am also the proprietor of a separate inventory of needs. In that very ownership lies the lack. In that very assertion lies the proof that I am worshiping a God in time, and a God in time is no God. My kingdom is not of this world, not even an improved this world. Do not mistake this for cruelty. It is mercy, stern and clean. Because if you can see the arrogance of self-improvement prayer, you can stop tiring yourself with it. Arrogance is a strong word, but I use it to wake you. The prayer that asks the infinite to resource the personal project is subtle pride. It says, I have decided the good. I have pictured the outcome. God, lend me your power. That is not surrender, that is conscription. You are attempting to recruit omnipotence into the service of a private story. Nobody in the kingdom is taking that assignment. Not because your yearning is wicked, but because your premise is impossible. Spirit is not a means to an end. Spirit is the end and the means, and the being of all that is. Those that worship God must worship in spirit and in truth, not in plans, not in panic, not in private causes. Now then, why is not your pleading, not your words, not your intensity the door? Because the physical ear cannot hear truth, and the physical tongue cannot utter it. You can plead with such fervor that your throat burns, and still there will be no movement of spirit if the pleader is the personal I affirming separation. The fervor only thickens the fog. The words only echo in the room of your own making. You think you are knocking on a heavenly door, but you are pounding on a wall you built. You are exhausting your knuckles on your own arguments. The door of the kingdom is not opened by the volume of a knock. It is opened by the disappearance of the knocker. A split second of silence. No petitioner, no project, no story, and the truth rushes in of its own accord. Consider a simple figure. Try to pour the ocean through a straw. The more desperately you suck, the more the straw collapses. The personal I is that straw. It cannot carry what it asks for. It has no capacity for grace because it is itself the confession of capacity apart from grace. It tries to be the instrument and the musician, the receiver and the controller. It says, I will direct this flow. And the very effort kinks the hose. When surrender arrives, even for a heartbeat, the hose relaxes. Nobody is in charge, and therefore the flow becomes effortless. You relax. You are not the source, and you are not the manager. You witness. You bear the fruit of what you did not plant or prune. You ask, but how shall I pray then? Shall I say nothing? Shall I desire nothing? Remain humanly honest, but spiritually clean. If words rise, let them be confessions of isness, not petitions to time. Let them be acknowledgments without bargaining. I am. God is. Grace is. Not I will be aided, not it will work out if. Do not tell God what must happen. Do not tell God when. Do not tell God why you deserve it. Nobody cares about your explanations in that holy precinct. Not because your story is beneath kindness, but because stories are not the language of spirit. Silence is. Presence is. The moment you stop explaining, you will notice the weight slide off your chest. That is your evidence that the personal I, with its timelines and ledgers, has lost its jurisdiction for that moment. There is another angle to see this clearly. When the personal I prays successfully, it becomes more afraid, not less. Why? Because it thinks it has acquired a good, and what it acquires, it must defend. It must rehearse methods, cling to formulas, and fear their failure. It must repeat techniques to keep the supply window open. This reveals the fraud. Grace, when realized, carries no fear of loss, because there is no owner separate from grace. Under grace, not under law. When grace governs, supply and health are not managed. They are revealed. They are the climate of a realm, not the trophies of a worker. The I that works at prayer cannot live in that climate. Work belongs to law. Revelation belongs to surrender. Do not think I am striking at your sincerity. I am striking at the mask that wears your sincerity thin. I wore it long enough to know it's chafing. You can read all the right books, learn all the right statements, keep all the right hours. And if at the center stands a little person asking a big God to feed its small tomorrow, you will go hungry among the sentences. Up to a point, we must learn. Up to a point, we must practice. But there is a definite point where even the practice must bow and leave. At that point, the one who practiced is not the one who prays. The practitioner yields to presence. The pronoun falls away. Not I am practicing the presence, but presence is. And in that being, prayer has already happened without speech. Now then, take this as a rule cut to the bone. Not your words, not your pleading, not your intensity. Only the surrender of personal sense opens the door. Every time you feel heat rise in you to argue your case, stop. Every time you reach to pull tomorrow closer, stop. Every time you tidy up yesterday for presentation, stop. These are the fingerprints of the praying I. Let its hands fall. For 1 split second, even half a split second, let there be no claimant, no historian, no manager. That gap is not empty. That gap is God, and the earth melts, not because you improved the world picture, but because you were lifted for that instant out of the world's jurisdiction. My kingdom is not of this world, not even an improved this world. Therefore the I that belongs to this world, the personality with its private ledger, cannot enter. Flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom. Only spirit recognizes spirit. As you stand still, naked of the story, unarmed by method, the pretense thins, the weight drops, the horizon widens without distance. You have not moved an inch, yet the realm has changed. Prayer did not achieve that. The absence of the achiever revealed it. And from there, whatever words follow are not strategies. They are echoes of grace. Whatever actions follow are not management. They are the natural gesture of a life that is already held. Remain in the world, yes. Keep your hand steady on the tools of your trade. But do not let that hand be the one that prays. The prayer that works begins where that hand opens and lets go. Now then, if the hand has opened and let go, what fills it? If the petitioner has fallen silent at the threshold, what speaks? We must make this point so clean that the mind cannot use it as another project. I am is not a better thought for a person to think. I am is not a boast in nicer grammar. I am is the recognition of being itself. Better, if you can bear it, to say simply is. Not I will be, not I was, I yes. The tongue can say it, yes, but the tongue does not make it true. The physical ear can hear it, yes, but the ear cannot receive it. It must be discerned between the lines of your speech and the gaps between your breaths. It is the fact that remains when the one who says, I want, ceases to claim a separate life. Now then, how do we move? Actually, not poetically, From I want to I am. First, you catch the I want. Do not condemn it, do not feed it. Catch it the instant it rises. It will come as an impulse to specify, to outline, to bargain. I want relief. I want supply. I want understanding. I want a sign. Good. You have seen the beggar. That sighting is your bell. Second, stop. Not later. Now. Stop explaining the want. Stop crafting alternatives. Let a thought cease. Just one. And refuse to turn the wheel for a breath. Third, turn not to another sentence, but to listening. Listening to what? Not to more words. To the living hush that does not begin or end. To the presence that is here before your request, beneath your request, untouched by your request. Do you see the difference? From petition to receptivity, from outlining to listening, from personal will to spiritual discernment. You have moved no muscle, and yet a relocation has begun. Do not imagine that I am asking you to put a brighter label on the same old I. You are not to take I want and dress it as I am and call that spiritual. Nobody in the kingdom is fooled by a costume change. I am does not report on a person. I am dissolves the person long enough for being to recognize itself. This is why across the ways of the wise, it is always the same wordless truth, though the tongues are many. Jesus points and says, before Abraham was, I am. Not a man's triumph over time, but the voice of being prior to biography. The Buddha sits and refuses to move until mere wanting falls off like dead leaves. What remains, he calls suchness. Lao Tzu whispers that the nominable is not the eternal, and the way that is grasped is not the way. 3 accents. One fact, being is. Your role in prayer is not to decorate that fact. Your role is to get out of its way. We must refuse confusion here. This shift is not you becoming a more serene worrier. It is not an improved disposition. It is a change of consciousness. It is a stepping out of the jurisdiction where cause and effect whip you into a realm where grace governs without reference to your charts. My kingdom is not of this world, not even an improved this world. Therefore, the move we speak of is not along the path of moods. A mood is weather. It passes. This is not weather. This is climate. This is the atmosphere of I am. And when you are in it, even for a blink, you are not a thinker manufacturing calm. You are a witness to a presence that is its own calm. You did not make it, you recognized it. How do you know the difference? In recognition, responsibility falls from your shoulders unasked. In recognition, you stop checking the clock for results. The breath deepens of itself. The spine softens of itself. The weight leaves because the weight bearer has left. Now then, to make it practical without turning it into a new ritual, the next time fear rises, and it will, because we live where winds blow, do not try to fix the fear, do not chase its story. Let it say what it will for a moment, and watch how it always reaches into yesterday or tomorrow to justify itself. That is your cue. Withdraw the actor. Right there, one inward step. If a word must be allowed as a crutch, let it be so small it cannot support a person, is. Or if the ancient name has juice for you, I am, not shouted, not repeated as if a charm could open a door. Whisper it inwardly as an acknowledgement, not an argument. Then let it go. Be still enough that even the wish to be still is seen and released. Ask nothing, outline nothing, wait, not for something to happen, but in the willingness to be nothing, do nothing, want nothing for a breath. In that bare instant, discernment begins. You will not hear orders. You will sense rightness. You will not be given blueprints. You will find yourself moved, or you will find yourself kept. Either is guidance, either is grace. Do you see how swiftly the old habit tries to reclaim the seat? In the very next beat, it will ask, is it working? Has anything changed? What should I do now? That is, I want returning with a clipboard. Smile at it and do not sign. Nobody in the kingdom accepts your progress reports. Nobody. Nobody reads your outlines and stamps them approved. Stop telling God what outcome you can live with. Stop narrating why you deserve it. Stop interviewing tomorrow for news. These are the ways the personal I maintains its throne. Each of them is a hand on the steering wheel. We are not improving the driver, we are removing the hands. The car moves of itself when the hill is grace. Let us place our feet in the footprints of those who walked this without the trappings of our century. The Master went out alone before dawn, not to acquire power, but to return where no personal will was directing. He did not come back with longer petitions. He came back with less self. Siddhartha sat under the tree and let the storms of want run their course without bargaining, and when the storms had no claimant left to fuel them, the suchness of being shone. Lao Tzu saw the folly of managing the Tao and said, "Do not doing, and all is done." These are not exotic slogans. They are confirmations that the prayer that works is surrender to what is already so. They point beyond your name to being's name for itself. You will ask, but how will I know the move has been made? You will not know as a fact to file. You will know as a relaxation. You will know because the passion to manage will ease without your reasoning it away. You will know because the need to be understood in your story will go dim. And when you rise from your chair or your bedside, you will find yourself doing the next right thing without a tremor of command. A call made, a bill paid, a meal prepared, or nothing done, and no guilt alive to accuse you. This is not apathy, this is government. Under grace, not under law. The doing that follows recognition is not a management strategy. It is the fruit of being governed. Let me give you a simple straight line you can take into the noise of a day. Notice, release, rest. Notice the I want as soon as it starts drafting plans. Release the plan, release the timeline, release the need to be the one who releases. Rest, if only for the blink of an eye in the wordless is. If you cannot rest a full second, give half. If a thought comes, let it go unseen. If a feeling comes, let it pass unclaimed. Do not practice for later. Practice for now, because now is all there is in which being can be met. Practice in the grocery line. Practice in the boardroom. Practice in the hospital corridor. Nobody needs to see you do it. Nobody can do it for you. You will not become religious by it. You will become simple. Now then, this is the inner move, from I want to I am. From a petitioner at a distance to presence recognized as the only life here. From the noise of a manager to the quiet of a witness. Not a mood, not a technique, not a new vocabulary, a change of consciousness. At the precise point of that change, even for a sliver thinner than the measure of a second, something you cannot manufacture takes over. The less you help it, the more it lives you. And in that helpless instant, a split second of silence, the truth does not stroll, it rushes. Now then, we must speak plainly of what some of you have already tasted, and others have hurried past because it was too simple to be believed. When a thought stops, genuinely stops, and you do not hurry to replace it with a brighter thought in that split second of silence, the truth rushes in. Do not hear this with the ear. The physical ear can never hear truth any more than the physical tongue can utter truth. This is not a technique. This is not a mantra well repeated. This is the event of spirit making itself known where the personal I has momentarily vacated the seat. What happens then? Not new sentences, not a hologram of spiritual ideas, spirit itself. The quiet that is not the absence of sound, but the presence of presence. And at that arrival, though arrival is a poor word, for it was never absent, the sense of burden lifts. You may feel it in the shoulders, in the belly, in the jaw, a letting go that you did not perform, and the earth melts. The picture that screamed for management loses its claim to reality. It does not necessarily vanish in the human scene in that instant. It loses authority over you. Its cord is cut. In that melting, the question, "What shall I do about it?" has no breath in it, and yet whatever doing is required is set in motion without argument. Contrast this with mental prayer. Mental prayer is the art of arranging furniture in a dream. It moves concepts like chairs. This affirmation here, that denial there, a scripture on the wall, a correct principle on the table. You can spend hours at it. You can tire your intellect into a stupor. And at the end of the hours, the room may look improved to your mind, but you are the same landlord in the same building, afraid of the same leak overhead. Realized prayer is another country. In realized prayer, the landlord is gone. Ownership drops. The building stands where it stands, and yet you are in a different climate completely. Under grace, not under law. There is governance without your governance. There is sufficiency without your sums. Now then, understand the physics of this if you like analogies. When you are straining mentally, you are tightening the hose and then wondering why there is no water. Strain is the signal. Stop, not later. Not after 3 more valiant declarations now. The moment you notice your jaw set, your chest high and held, your sentences getting faster, that is the bell. Ring it and sit down inside, even if you are standing at a sink. Refuse to finish the sentence. Let the last syllable evaporate. Allow an unguarded breath. No outlining, no instructing God. A split second, half a split second of clean vacancy. I do not say emptiness as bleakness. I say vacancy of claimant. There is no one in there trying to be spiritual. There is just the small, doorless hush where presence recognizes itself. You will protest, "I tried to be silent and the thoughts came like bees." Let them come. Silence does not mean the universe promised not to buzz. Silence means you are not the beekeeper. You do not chase, you do not swat. You watch the impulse to regulate and you let it be without feeding it. That watching is already a loosening of the I that wanted control. And if one thought can be allowed to cease, just one, the truth rushes in through that crack. Not because you earned it, not because you weaponized a technique, but because reality needed only that you stop furnishing obstruction. Some of you still want the safety of a word. If a word must be used as a handrail, let it be so pure it can't prop an ego. I am, or more bare is. Whisper it inwardly and then let it fade into the atmosphere from which it came. Do not repeat it to count off piety. Do not hold it in your mouth like hard candy. Let it point you to the gap between and then give the gap your full consent. This is the inner sanctuary. It has no curtains, it has no incense. It is the unbuilt chamber in which God is found without traveling. Those that worship God must worship in spirit and in truth. Spirit is the sanctuary. Truth is the silence. What are the proofs that this is not self-hypnosis? You do not come out dulled, you come out relieved. Relief is your first sacrament. The sense of private responsibility has dropped without a bargain. Your mind is not craned forward to check for results. Your heart does not beat at the pace of the clock. You have not abandoned your human tasks, but your tasks have lost their teeth. You are willing to do the next right thing without holding the future hostage to it. And in that willingness, arrangements you could not compute begin to show themselves without announcement. The call you dreaded becomes simple. The bill is met in right measure. The doctor's words fall with less terror, or the same picture remains, and still the sting is gone. The earth melted. The heat was in you. The fire has no fuel where I is not tending it. Listen to another angle. A musician cannot force tone into beauty by pressing harder. She loosens the hand and tone opens. A sailor does not manufacture wind. He trims the sail and ceases to luff against it. Mental prayer is the pressing hand and the luffing sail. Realized prayer is the relaxation that allows what is present to move as it will. My kingdom is not of this world, not even an improved this world. Strain belongs to this world. Law, reaction, effort. Silence belongs to the kingdom. Grace, impartation, effortless rightness. Now then, let us make it painfully simple so you cannot miss it when the hour squeezes. Practical cues. The instant you feel mental heat, stop. Do not complete one more noble sentence. Do not draft one more scenario. Drop the outline as if it had burned your fingers. Return to now by allowing one breath that you did not schedule. If a name for God forms, let it form and dissolve. If a tear comes, let it travel with no commentary. Wait, not to provoke God, not to trade stillness for reward. Wait as surrender, not as demand. One clean second. If you cannot bear a second, give a quarter. If you cannot count at all, good. Time is not admitted here, only now. What cannot be accomplished in hours of mental prayer is accomplished in that unmeasured instant, because the doer has stepped aside. You have not improved your concepts. You have been given an impartation that you did not author, a change of consciousness. When you rise, you do not hold a brighter idea about God. You are carried by the fact of God. This is not poetry. This is operation. The room has not changed, and yet you are not in the old room. The same phone in your hand, and yet not the same one holding it. Still in this world, but not of it. Nobody can counterfeit this for you. Nobody cares about the explanations your mind will manufacture about why you could not be silent today. Keep quiet and go ahead and struggle if you must, but do it with the hand off the wheel. You will discover again and again, and then again until counting ceases, that one instant of genuine silence accomplishes what hours of mental prayer cannot. Not because silence persuades God, but because silence reveals God already present. And once revealed, grace governs the hour without your management. The earth melts and you are free to bless. Now then, let us draw the line in the sand where it truly is, not where the mind prefers it. Up to a point we are students of truth, seekers after God. We read, we attend, we practice our moments of silence as best as a human will can manage it. We test principles, we make attempts. And then, at a definite point, not an idea, not a mood, but a moment in time and space, a change of consciousness takes place within you. It may be at 10 o'clock in the morning in the middle of your desk work. It may be at midnight when the house is still. It may be at 3 a.m. with the ceiling as your only witness. But it is specific. It is an actual inner turn. And when it occurs, you will not debate it because the debate itself will have fallen away with the burden it carried. What marks it? Relaxation, but not the kind that a vacation gives. A relaxation that comes because a weight that never belonged to you leaves your shoulders, your belly, your jaw. Leaves without your bargaining, without your managing it away. You never again feel full personal responsibility for making your life happen. Hear that between the lines. You still sign checks. You still answer the phone. You still show up to mend, to build, to parent, to serve. But you are no longer the owner of the burden. The government is not on your shoulder. Under grace, not under law. There is governance without your governance. There is supply without your sums. The proof of true prayer is not a sensation. It is that inner transition where personal responsibility yields to grace. Until that transition, prayer is effort. You feel the strain of improving a scene, the pressure of correct statements, the timing of outcomes. After it, prayer is communion and government. You are not speaking to a God over there in time. You are resting in, I am here, and from that resting, you find that the hours arrange themselves as if they had been waiting for your refusal to manage them. The same world picture may remain, but its claim upon you is cancelled. The earth melts. My kingdom is not of this world, not even an improved this world. Do not think you can manufacture this moment with will. The physical ear cannot hear truth, and the physical tongue cannot utter it, and the physical will cannot seize it. All of your straining to be surrendered is more of the same landlord adjusting furniture in a dream. The moment of transition is not your product. It is the event of spirit revealing itself, where the doer has stopped doing long enough for presence to take the seat. A split second of silence, no petitioner, no project, no story, and truth rushes in. If you would give it a name, call it release. If you would give it a sign, look for relief. Responsibility slips, and in its place comes a rightness that does not need your commentary. Now then, there is a paradox you must accept, or you will wander circles. You cannot predict the moment, and yet it is certain. It is not gradual, and yet it may be preceded by many small surrenders that till the soil. It does not make you holy in the eyes of your neighbors, and yet it makes you harmless to yourself and to others. It does not remove your humanity, and yet it removes the tyranny of believing you are a separate self, running a private universe. From that moment, you no longer audition tomorrow for permission to rest today. You no longer make fear your consultant. You do not retire from action. You retire from authorship. You will ask, how do I know it has truly happened and I am not imagining repose? You will know because the checks and the calendars cease to be your altars. You will know because your breath will deepen without practice. You will know because the heat to explain yourself to anyone, even to God, cools into quiet. You will know because the impulse to outline the next 5 steps has no oxygen. And you will know because you are willing, without strain, to do the next right thing, and equally willing to be kept from doing when none is given. That willingness is not passivity. That is government, under grace, not under law. Now then, hear a hard mercy. If you still carry the ache of personal responsibility as your normal climate, do not flatter yourself that you have crossed. Nobody cares about the careful reasons you will offer for keeping the weight another week. Keep quiet and go ahead and struggle if you must. But do not baptize the struggle with spiritual names. The line is real. The transition is definite. It may be at 10 o'clock. It may be at midnight. It may be at 3 a.m., but it is a point, and after that point, even when the winds howl, you do not return to the old ownership. You may wobble. You may be tempted to pick up responsibility like an old habit. But something in you refuses the harness, because something in you knows, finally, that there is no God in the human scene of self-rescue. Those that worship God must worship in spirit and in truth. Truth does not deputize your anxiety. Spirit does not sublease your management. Let me give you a plain figure. All the while you learned, you kept the car in a low gear and your foot on the clutch. The engine screamed, the car inched. At the moment of transition, the clutch is released into the proper gear and the car moves with the road instead of against it. You are not thrilled, you are relieved. Or take another, you have been rowing on a river that runs your way, working as if the current were your enemy. Suddenly the oars drop, not in despair but in trust, and you discover that the river carries. You steer, yes, but you are not propulsion. In either case, what has happened? Personal propulsion has surrendered to lawful movement, under grace, not under law. Some of you fear this means you will become careless. On the contrary, you become faithful. You show up without buzzers in your head. You pay what is due without tightening your throat. You listen when spoken to and hear beneath the words. You stop rehearsing calamity as if prophecy were a virtue. You are in this world, but not of it. That is not poetry, that is operation. The realm you inhabit is not a fantasy you decorate. It is a government that reveals, directs, and maintains. And when your old friend, the personal I, comes by with its ledger and its schedules, you smile and you do not sign. Nobody in the kingdom files those reports. Now then, let the promise be exact so you cannot dilute it into a doctrine for tomorrow. There is a definite point of transition in time and space. At some specific moment, Tuesday at 3:17 a.m. or Thursday in a parking lot while rain drums the roof. A change of consciousness takes place within you when all we have said becomes a living truth. You relax not because the picture has changed, but because responsibility has. You never again feel full personal responsibility for your own life. You live under grace. You pray, but prayer is not a taskmaster. It is communion. You work, but work is not a sentence. It is service. And in that government, supply and health are no longer trophies of your management. They are the climate you breathe. My kingdom is not of this world, not even an improved this world. Remain here, yes, but be governed from there. The mark of it will be unmistakable. The weight falls, and in its place, quiet authority. Now then, what follows when the weight has fallen? Government. Not the government of cause and effect managed by a nervous I, but the invisible government of grace. Under law, you push, plan, arrange, plead, and then hold your breath for results. Under grace, there is governance without your governance. Harmony is not manufactured, it is revealed. The prayer that works does not crown a clever manager. It uncrowns the manager and leaves the throne to I am. Let us put definition to this. Law, as I use it, is the realm of reaction. If I do this, then that. If I say enough affirmations, then relief. If I impress the right people, then supply. It is the treadmill of bargaining with time and effects. Grace is another country entirely. Grace is the activity of spirit being itself, revealing order because order already is. My kingdom is not of this world, not even an improved this world. Therefore, the good in that kingdom is not the reward for your arithmetic. It is the nature of being showing through the place where you have stopped violating it. Consider mathematics. 2 and 2 are 4. No amount of pleading will make it 5 to meet your budget. Principle is not moved by your reasons. But watch the other side. When you stop violating the principle, when you do not smudge, do not about, do not almost, the right answer is automatic. You do not have to coax 4 to appear. It appears because the law is itself. So with music, you cannot force beauty by pressing harder or wishing longer. You align tone with the principle of harmony. You cease the pressure that distorts. Beauty is there of itself. Do you see? All your improvement projects under law are attempts to squeeze music from a clenched hand. Under grace, you open and tone already present sounds. Translate this where you live. Supply under law is a chase, quotas, angles, imagined pathways, and then fear when the pathway fails you. Supply under grace is not a chase, it is evidence of alignment with being. When you stand still inside, no claimant, no project, you find yourself in the right place at the right time, with the right word, the right contact, the right timing that you could not have diagrammed. It looks ordinary in the human scene, an email answered, a handshake offered, a sale closed. But the climate is different. There is no clutch in the belly. There is no little accountant behind the eyes. There is movement that matches you, like breath. This is not luck. This is government. Health under law is symptom watching, rule keeping, fear counting, a calendar religion with its altars of dosage and doom. Health under grace is the body acknowledged as servant, not sovereign, temple, not taskmaster. You do not hypnotize flesh into holiness with sentences. You remove the weight of a separate I that would manage life, and the system, nervous, endocrine, immune, responds to peace as naturally as a flower responds to sun. You wake in the night and find breath breathing you. You feel the rhythm that is older than your name. Some picture may remain for a time. The fear does not. The heat is taken out of it. The earth melts, and what care is required is given without terror, taken without worship, under grace, not under law. Relationships under law are bargaining. What will you do for me if I do for you? Or they are manipulation. How shall I say it to get my way? Relationships under grace are presence meeting presence. No outline for the other, no campaign. A word comes and it is clean. A no comes and it is kind. A boundary appears and it holds without theater. Or silence stands in the room and says, more than your speech would have wrecked. This too is government. Nobody wins and nobody loses because there is no contest. There is order without you policing it. Safety under law is fortressing the mind with rehearsals of disaster, a superstition that fear is a life preserver. Safety under grace is movement or stillness as you are guided. You are kept from a corner you used to cut. You arrive 5 minutes later than your old hurry would have demanded. A door closes you would have forced open. Call it coincidence if you must. I call it government. Those that worship God must worship in spirit and in truth. Truth does not need your running start to arrive on time. It governs and keeps. Now then, I must warn you as a friend who refuses to flatter. The minute you say, my demonstration, you have stepped back under law. The prize has your fingerprints on it, and with your fingerprints come fear of loss and pride of authorship. Both are law. Both will whip you. Under grace, there are no trophies. There is evidence. There is fruit. There is the automatic rightness of principle expressing. A bank teller does not pray to give back the correct change. Integrity is the principle. Correctness is automatic. In the same way, when I am is the consciousness, supply and health are not projects. They are the natural correctness of a life under principle. Automatic does not mean mechanical. Automatic means self-enforcing. Like gravity, it operates without your vote. You do not pray, let gravity perform as I take this step. You trust the law and you walk. In spirit, grace is that law. When you remove the obstruction, the personal I plotting outcomes, government shows. The circuit clears and what was there all along flows. Electricity does not appear because you begged the socket. It appears because the resistance was cleared and the switch aligned the circuit with its source. So, with prayer, not to persuade, but to align, not to manage, but to reveal. How then do we remain under grace? Not by gripping the atmosphere of grace as a possession, not by putting under grace on our lips as a charm. We remain as we began, now. A split second of silence whenever the heat of management rises. A soft inward I am when the charts come out. An immediate refusal to outline what God must do, how, and when. Gratitude, not as payment but as acknowledgement, is. And then the next right thing, without self-congratulation and without dread. If there is nothing to do, do nothing without guilt. Both doing and not doing are holy when they are governed. You will be tempted, today, perhaps in an hour, to take back the reins, to measure, to compare, to boast, or to despair. When you catch yourself, do not scold. Simply step back into the sanctuary that has no walls. Let one thought stop. Let one breath be unpushed. Let the claimant vacate. In that split second, the truth rushes in and government is restored. The fruit of prayer is not a string of successes to paste into a scrapbook. Nobody in the kingdom keeps one. The fruit of prayer is continuity of consciousness, I am. And from that consciousness, life is not managed, it is revealed. My kingdom is not of this world, not even an improved this world. Remain here, yes, with your tasks and your neighbors, but be governed from there. Then watch the categories that used to frighten you: supply, health, relationships, safety. become ordinary proofs of principle, as natural as tone to music and answer to mathematics. Under grace, not under law. That is not a hope, that is operation. And in that operation, your life becomes a quiet blessing, self-evident, automatic, without your name on it. Now then, we must speak plainly, because some of you are cushioning yourselves with words and wondering why you are still tired. Spiritual progress is not more explanation. It is more surrender now, not after you have framed your history, not after you have secured permission from your fear. Now, the prayer that works begins when the personal I dissolves. That I thrives on story. It collects, edits, dramatizes, and then performs its case before a jury that does not exist. Nobody cares. Do not hear that as cruelty. Hear it as mercy. Stories do not open the kingdom. They keep you faithful to the human scene. They are the currency of a world that is not your government. My kingdom is not of this world, not even an improved this world. You will want me to know how hard it has been, how consistent you have tried to be, how unreasonable the demands upon you have felt. Keep quiet and go ahead and struggle if you must, but do not build an identity out of the struggle. Nobody in the kingdom is impressed by what you have endured, and nobody there discounts it either. The kingdom has no scales for measuring pain or pride. It has only presence. When you begin to narrate to me, to your neighbor, to yourself, notice which realm you are feeding. The physical ear can never hear truth, and the physical tongue can never utter it. The tongue loves to rehearse. Spirit is silent. Truth is discerned between the lines, not performed on the stage of your history. Now then, take this as a rule, not as poetry. Give up yesterday, give up tomorrow. Take no thought for what you shall be, what you shall eat, how you shall pay, whom you shall persuade. Can you imagine trying to live a minute from now? A minute from now is a complete vacuum. When you attempt it, you step outside of grace into the chamber of law, cause, effect, anxiety, and the slow fever of management. Whenever the rose blooms, it's now. Whenever God is realized, it's now. If you are thinking about the bloom yesterday or tomorrow, you are not in the garden. You are in a scrapbook. Burn the scrapbook. When fear appears, do not call it prudence. Call it what it is, the confession that you are counting on making your demonstration without the help of God. That is why fear heats the body and narrows the breath. It is the little I puffing itself up for war. The moment you see it, do not add another fear by condemning yourself. Recognize it as self-reliance and let it dissolve in a split second of silence. One thought stops. The truth rushes in. You have not solved a problem. You have left the scene in which the problem had meaning, under grace, not under law. Many of you are leaning, gently or fiercely, on teachers, rooms, spouses, systems, promises, anything human to carry you into what only the Spirit can do. I tell you tenderly and without apology, you cannot depend on anyone in this room for your good. Not your teacher, not your spouse, not your circle, not your church, not your savings, not your reputation, not your resume of spiritual practices. The kingdom is within you and must be entered within you. Those that worship God must worship in spirit and in truth. Spirit is the sanctuary. Truth is the silence. If you appeal to me for reassurance, I can offer you words. But the physical ear cannot hear truth any more than the physical tongue can utter it. Words may steady you for a step. Only inner surrender carries you across. Set your discipline in order. Short rules, sharp edges. When you catch your mouth composing a defense, stop mid-syllable. You owe nobody a narrative for your existence under grace. When you notice yourself planning 3 steps ahead, stop at 1. If you catch yourself glancing backward for blame or forward for relief, return to the footfall under you. Breathe once unpushed. When the phone rings and you feel the clutch in your belly, do not draft your speech. Let one thought stop. Then answer. If there is nothing to say nothing. If there is something to do, do it without weaving a future around it. Let yes be yes. Let no be no. Do not dramatize your fidelity. Do not sentimentalize your sacrifice. Integrity is not theater. It is the automatic rightness of principle expressing. You will protest, but it helps to tell my story. It ventilates the room. No, it ventilates the dream. It refreshes the landlord who is about to move more furniture. The room of spirit is not stale, it is still. When you are tempted to explain, hear this as your bell. Nobody cares. Not because you do not matter, but because there is no person there to be aggrieved or aggrandized. The eye that demands to be seen is the very obstruction to seeing. The moment you cease to lobby for your case, illumination is free to enter without argument. You do not lose compassion. You lose self-importance, and in losing it, you can meet another's pain without making it a mirror of your own. Now then, hold yourself to this. Give up yesterday. Give up tomorrow. Take no thought for what you shall be. And when fear appears, name it as self-reliance and stop one thought. If you fail, do it again. If you fail 10 times before lunch, do it 11. Keep quiet and go ahead and struggle, but keep the struggle free of explanation and free of audience. Do not count the failures. Counting is a coin of law. Surrender is the currency of grace. The moment you return to now, even for a heartbeat you did not schedule, the government is restored. You will feel the sign, relief. Not a doctrine, not a vision, not a polished statement, relief. The weight is not yours. The hour is not yours. The outcome is not yours. You are carried. If you need a word, let it be bare, I am. Whisper it inwardly and let it fade, so that only its fact remains. No ornaments, no promises, just the fact. Then move as you are moved, or do not move. Under grace, both action and inaction are holy, because both are governed. My kingdom is not of this world, not even an improved this world. Remain here, at the desk, in the kitchen, at the bedside, but be governed from there. And when the old impulse to explain rises like a faithful dog, pat its head and let it pass without a tail. Spiritual progress is not more explanation, it is more surrender. Now then, what is the end of all of this? Not a new set of outcomes to admire. Not a cleaner arrangement of the same furniture in the same dream. The end of prayer is not a better world picture, but the revealed kingdom within, and the life that blesses from it. My kingdom is not of this world, not even an improved this world. When that kingdom stands up within you, the scene may or may not shift, but its claims upon you have no more jurisdiction. The authority is here, the peace is here, the government is here. We must finish where we began, but on new ground. You do not overcome fear, anger, lack, or disease one by one, as if they were opponents in a ring. You are not appointed to wrestle shadows. In the kingdom, these have no standing, no power, no law to back them. Darkness is not pushed out. Light is realized, and the darkness is not found. Do you see the difference? Under law, you swat flies and leave the doors open. Under grace, the door stands in its place, and the swarm has no entry. We do not improve a storm. We enter a climate where storms do not rule. That is the meaning of in the world, not of it. Not escape. Government. The outward sign, then, is not a crusader's fervor. It is compassion without entanglement. You can walk into a hospital room and not add your fear to the air. You can stand beside a ledger and not worship the sum. You can listen to a child's confusion without making it a referendum on your worth. Something in you holds the quiet center that does not argue with appearances and does not run from them. You feel, you are not captured. You act, you are not driven. A word is given or none is given. A hand is held, or a task is done, or a boundary is set, and the heat that used to precede your movements is absent. The earth melts. Presence is the atmosphere, not your personality. Do not mistake this for chill or distance. It is the warmth that does not burn. It is love that does not bargain. The world's passions will parade to recruit you, outrage, panic, pride dressed as courage, but you are unbribable because you are unafraid. You belong to the government of peace. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not as adrenaline gives, not as applause gives. You will still read the newspaper, balance the books, answer the phone. But the newspaper is no longer scripture, the books are no longer altars, and the phone is no longer a judge. You live here and you serve here, but you are not sourced here. Now then, what of I am? Make no shrine to superiority around it. I am is not a trumpet for a chosen self. It is the disappearance of the claimant so that presence may be apparent. Less me, more transparency. Like a pane once coated with smoke, now clear. People will not say, "There goes a holy one." They will not know why they breathe easier where you are. They will not know why their voice slows when they speak to you, or why they feel honest in your company. Nobody. Nobody will be able to inventory it because the one to be credited is not on display. This is the perfection of humility, not thinking poorly of yourself, but thinking of yourself less, until the self that must be thought of relaxes into is. From such transparency, life becomes an unobstructed instrument. Words land where they are sent. Silence holds when it is called. Generosity appears without arithmetic. Correction comes without humiliation. You find yourself kept from the invitation to meddle. You discover you have no taste for the small winnings of triumph over another. You are salt because you do not advertise your savor. You are light because you do not aim the beam at your name. Service is not a pose. It is the natural pressure of grace expressing, under grace, not under law. There will still be tears. Do not fear that. They are the clear water that washes dust from the eyes. They are not rivers that sweep you away. You will still feel the pull of old habits sometimes. When you notice it, return to the sanctuary. One split second, one stopped thought, one unforced breath, again and again, until it is your reflex to stand inside before you step outside. This is the practice that is not a project. This is the discipline that restores government. Not later, now. Whenever the rose blooms, it's now. Your work will look like work. Your art will look like art. Your parenting will look like parenting. Your neighborliness will look like neighborliness. But the motive force is changed. Business becomes service instead of scramble. Art becomes praise instead of performance. Parenting becomes stewardship instead of ownership. Even your refusals become offerings. The no that keeps you whole and harms no one. Sometimes you will be moved to speak. Sometimes you will be moved to be withheld. Both are holy when governed. The human scene may call this wisdom or luck or presence of mind. We call it the kingdom revealing itself where the personal I has stepped aside. Now then, take the final instruction and keep it simple enough that you cannot excuse yourself from it. Return to that split second. When the story begins, stop one thought. When the fear heats, stop one thought. When the plan multiplies, stop one thought. Let the claimant step aside. Let the I of you be I am. Not I was, not I will be, is, no ornament, no promise. Fact. In that fact, the kingdom within is not a phrase, but an operation, a climate, a government. And from that government your life blesses without trying to bless, heals without trying to heal, teaches without trying to teach, because transparency lets presence do what presence is. My kingdom is not of this world, not even an improved this world. Remain here, yes. Buy bread, Mend fences, keep appointments, sit by bedsides, but be governed from there. And as you are governed, notice how the negatives that once hired you as their employee have no more claim on your attention. Notice how relief, not a doctrine, not a vision, becomes your weather. Notice how the rooms you enter do not feel the weight you used to bring, and do not miss it. This is the end of prayer as pleading and the beginning of prayer as being. The end is not a picture that flatters the human scene. The end is the kingdom revealed within, and the quiet, steady life that blesses from it.